All right, so welcome everybody out to our training on this Friday. We're talking about eBay, and as you can see on my screen, we're looking at the 2016 back to school and back to college statistical report that comes out every single year from the National Retail Federation. This is something I watch each year. I think it was around this time last year that we did the 2015 one. I have that somewhere in my video archives, and it sneaked up on us again, and we're talking about back to school. You'll find as we go through this little slideshow that the back to school retail portion of the year is the second biggest shopping season of the entire year. Hard to believe, right? Maybe it's not. Maybe that doesn't shock you. It doesn't compare to the holiday shopping, and you'll see that in a couple of graphs here in a minute. But it is that big, and there certainly are some opportunities for people like us who are selling products on eBay and making money online to take advantage of the increased demand that's out there for this kind of stuff. The question you should be asking yourself is, how do I take advantage of this time of year? What products should I be selling? What product categories should I be focusing on, so on and so forth. And hopefully we can answer some of those questions as we look through this little slideshow. So first of all, um, this is the historical graph. So this is historical back to school and college spending. Hopefully you guys can see those graphs okay. It says the total back to school spending has grown 55% over the past 10 years, while back to college spending has grown 18% since 2009. Total combined spending in 2016 is expected to reach 75.8 billion. A lot of times those numbers maybe don't mean as much to you, but look at the graphs for just a second, and just look at the direction they're trending. If you look back in 2006 for the back to school spending, it was at 17.6 million. It's all the way up to 27.3. It's just because people are shopping more online than ever. I think that's the biggest thing. And so I would anticipate these graphs should still continue to move in that direction, and they're expecting another big 2016. This is 10 years of back to school household spending. Overall, back to school spending is up from last year, with shoppers spending an average of $674 compared to 630 in 2015. So interestingly enough, 2012 was pretty comparable, but this will be the biggest of all time. So each household in America, they're saying, is going to spend on average $674, and some more than others, right? That number is an average. Okay, so where will families shop back to school? Um, so you can see the graph here again. All the way at the far left are your discount stores: Walmart, Target, Macy's, whatever. Or I'm sorry, that's more like Walmart, Target, Kohl's. Those are your discount stores. Department stores would be more like your Sears, Macy's, Nordstrom. Clothing stores. You can see online, you're gonna see almost half of people in 2016, 46% are going to be shopping online. One out of every two people. That's big, right? So there's going to be lots of demand for it. And I'll skip over this slide right here. This is the slide that I think is most interesting and most applicable to you guys right now. Okay, so most shoppers will spend their budget on apparel and electronics. That's the synopsis here. Um, back to school, shoppers plan to spend an average of $674, of which 65% of that will be spent on apparel and electronics. Think of college kids right now. Now, when I say capitalizing on back to school, I'm not talking about school supplies. Look at the numbers down here. It's the green line in this graph that school supplies, and it hovers right around $100 on average per family. But for us, there's not money in trying to sell binders and paper and pens and, you know what I mean, crayons and colored pencils and things that maybe more of your elementary school kids are buying. Um, there's just not margin in it, right? How are you supposed to make any money off of a folder for $1.50? And certainly, how are you supposed to sell it online when shipping is going to cost 4 times that much anyway? So I don't want you to think so much about school supplies. Rather, I'd like you to look at the other lines there. The average family is spending about $126 on shoes, um, $200 on electronics, and $235 on apparel. That could be jewelry, that could be clothing, right? Um, and accessories to go along with that. That's more of where you should be looking. Also, I've got to read you guys something. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. All right. Just notice this paragraph right here. It says the survey found college consumers plan to spend 11.54 billion on electronics, 7.49 billion on clothing, 6.23 billion on dorm furnishings. Let me just highlight that right here. This is where a lot of your profits are going to be if you capitalize on this market. Dorm room furnishings, and I've been saying it for a while, we're talking about desks and chairs and beds and chests of drawers and bookcases, and we're talking about things in the kitchen, maybe a table, um, maybe small kitchen appliances. That, for me at least, over the years, that's been where we've tried to focus. Just because in the drop shipping space, if you're doing a lot of this as a drop shipper, electronics are a bit tougher to compete on, because everybody is so price sensitive, and it's easy to compare apples to apples if you're selling electronics. It's not as easy to do that with more generic retail furniture and furnishings for a dorm room. So I would, if I were you guys and I wanted to capitalize and I'm doing any sort of drop shipping, whether it be retail drop shipping or you've got some kind of a wholesaler who's going to be willing to drop ship, I would try to emphasize the dorm room furnishings. That's going to be your best bet. You can see they spend 5.78 billion on food items. Hard to capitalize on that. Personal care items, can't really capitalize that. Shoes, you can definitely sell. In fact, I've got a client. He's one of our very best clients. His whole entire eBay store is shoes, and he's been crushing it for years in that industry. Now, you would think on its surface, shoes would be way too hard to sell because there's just massive amounts of competition online. Well, he carved out a nice little niche for himself, and he does well. So don't discount the fact that shoes can sell well online. School supplies, gift cards. This was interesting too, I thought. 2.7 billion on branded collegiate gear. So that would be a branded University of Utah hat or sweatshirt, or a University of Southern California shorts, or you know what I mean, or just a normal T-shirt. Branded collegiate gear um, could be very good. So that would be something I would look into as well. Spending on electronics will average $211. We looked at that already, so on and so forth. So I won't read any more of this, but I want you to pull some ideas from that can hopefully bolster your sales a little bit. Okay, let me go back to the slideshow for a sec. This is, by the way, this graph is over the years. This is 2006 to 2016, and you can see electronics is trending up pretty substantially. No surprise, right? Even in the last 10 years, we're more and more dependent on electronics than we ever have been. This is also interesting. The question sometimes is, when should I focus on back to school shopping? Look at these graphs for just a second. For back to school shoppers, um, I guess the blue is for college and the orange is for your K through 12. Let's focus on the blue for just a second. Look at the graphs here. So 26% at least 2 months before school starts. So you've got some early shoppers, which is why if you've noticed, if you're ever on walmart.com or target.com, you'll see that they've been advertising back to school for a while now. Because a lot of colleges start, what, mid to late August? And, next week will be the first part of August. So some of that we may have already missed. 33.8% say 3 weeks to 1 month before school starts. So a big chunk of people there. 25% are 1 to 2 weeks before. The week school starts, 6%. And then after school starts, they'll still be shopping at 8%. So 75% of all the back to school sales are still yet to come. That's the point I wanted to make. You haven't missed the boat at all. There's still great opportunities, so we're not late sharing this information with you. This is kind of an interesting slide, but not really relevant. It says for the majority of back-to-school shoppers, half or more of their spending is a direct result of their children's influence. Parents are getting savvier, though, and asking their kids to break open their piggy banks and contribute toward expenses. Good for parents out there, right? The average amount a teenager plans to spend on their own money for back to school is only $33, though. And then $20 is the average amount a preteen plans to spend on their own money for back to school. So kids don't have a lot of money, right? They're sort of sucking from their parents, most of them. I'm sure a lot of you guys can appreciate that. So not a lot of relevance for us there. They may influence what their parents buy, but certainly money's not coming from them. This is also very interesting. Shoppers plan to take advantage of free shipping. So more than 80% of back to school and college shoppers will take advantage of free shipping, and more than a half will buy online and pick up in store. So free shipping is incredibly important to people. We've been talking about this for ages. I still get the question, hey, if I have something to sell, if I'm selling a desk for $200, but the shipping is going to cost me $25, should I charge shipping or should I build shipping into the price? And my answer 99.9% of the time is build shipping into the price. For this very reason, people look for free shipping. And they probably know that somehow that's built into the price, but they don't care. Free shipping is extremely important to people. Okay, so make sure you're doing it on eBay. This is what I was telling you guys about earlier. Top 5 spending holidays. If you'll notice the graph there, the winter holidays represent the majority of where spending takes place. But the next one over, that little orange bar there, represents back to school and college shopping. Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, so on and so forth. But um, back to school and back to college is in second place, and it's not even close. The other ones don't come close, which is why this is, I would say, a pretty important time of year to take advantage of this stuff. So I hope you guys learned a few things here. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are really planning your eBay businesses around back to school. Some of you are. I know that for a fact. A few of you this time of year see your sales go up. I've got clients who are smart though, and they watch the seasons and they watch the holidays, and they're listing things that are in season and taking advantage of that. You don't want a stale, stagnant store where you just list a bunch of stuff and you're not paying attention to what could potentially be in demand. This should have at least provided some insight. So your big takeaways are: make sure everything you're selling is at free shipping. Number one. Number two, there's real opportunity in dorm room stuff for college kids and collegiate apparel for college kids. Big opportunities there. There's opportunities in electronics and shoes as well. Little tougher markets, but certainly some that you can take advantage of. Where do you get all this stuff? Go find it, guys. Retail suppliers are fine. You can go hunting for wholesale drop shippers. You can even carry some of your own inventory, but if you're going to do that, you're probably late because over the next month, that's where 75% of these sales are going to go. And when we get into September finally, the graph showed us there's still about 8% of people that are still shopping that kind of stuff after school starts, but by and large, the season has passed us by at that point. All right. So sit down and consider what you can do to get ready for back to school stuff. There is just a tremendous amount of opportunity, which is why we try to do this webinar each year. I really should have done this probably 3 weeks ago, just to prep you guys a little bit better. But it is what it is. Go ahead and take advantage of what you learned. If you've got any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and finish up. I'm more than happy to make sure everybody has a copy of this link. I'll put it in the recording of the video in the comments section. In case you want to look through this report, I'll send it out here as well to those of you guys who are here with me live. There's the link to the presentation. It's kind of a big, scary looking link, so it might be better if you get it out of the recording. Kathy, backpacks are interesting. I think they fall into the apparel, the clothing and apparel section, just because there's a ton of those that sell. You just bought one for 32 that you sold for 78. That's pretty solid. Good for you. Yeah, there's opportunity in backpacks for sure. But I will caution you, if you're doing retail drop shipping in backpacks, I've seen it before. A lot of out of stock issues with backpacks from retail drop shippers. So just make sure you have a good, consistent supplier. Yeah, that's early, Russell. Next week. My goodness, that's way too early, isn't it? Russell's saying in Georgia, K through 12 starts next week. I don't think that starts for us out here in Utah until like almost, I think it's like the last week or maybe the first week in September. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, that's insane. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming along. I hope you learned something. I like data-driven decisions, and this is legit data. So use it to your benefit, and hopefully you have a good back to school, back to college selling season. Good luck to you guys. We'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend.